Former collegiate swimmer Lia Gaines is leading a charge against transgender athletes competing in women's sports. Gaines, who had competed against transgender swimmer Lia Thomas in the NCAA, is now fighting to bar trans athletes from participating in women's sports. Gaines has expressed her gratitude for House Republicans' efforts after the passing of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, which aims to amend Title X to prohibit schools that receive federal funding from allowing a person whose sex is male from participating in women's sports. The bill, if passed by the Senate, would accomplish Gaines' goal. Gaines, who was tied down to the 100th of a second with Thomas, claimed that an official gave Thomas the trophy because she was a biological male, and officials wanted a photo op. This moment led Gaines to realize that she had had enough and that she was done waiting for someone else to speak out on behalf of female athletes. Gaines' fight against transgender athletes' ability to participate in women's sports has led her to totally change her life plan. She has decided not to attend dental school in order to continue pressing forward in her fight. She warns Democrats that they will pay for their stance in 2024, as they accuse Republicans of bullying transgender student athletes. The bill has passed with 0 votes from Democrats, despite the party once being one that embraced women and fought for women's rights. Gaines claims that the war on women is underway, and the Democrats will pay for their stance in 2024. The bill's passage is now headed to the Democrat-controlled Senate, where it is expected to fail. However, Gaines' fight for female athletes' rights continues, and she hopes that the Senate will take notice of the importance behind this issue. Gaines' dedication to this cause highlights the passion and determination that female athletes possess when it comes to fighting for fairness in their respective sports. The issue of transgender athletes participating in women's sports has been a controversial topic for years, with many arguing that it's unfair to cisgender female athletes. Gaines, who has become the face of the movement to protect women's sports, believes that it's not about being anti-trans, but rather about ensuring a level playing field for all athletes. Despite the passage of the bill by the House of Representatives, many Democrats have criticized it, claiming that it discriminates against transgender students. However, Gaines believes that this is not the case and that the bill is simply about fairness in sports. It's not about being anti-trans, it's not about being against anyone, she said. It's just about fairness in sports, and that's what we're trying to achieve here. Gaines' experience competing against Lia Thomas, a transgender swimmer, has fueled her passion for this cause. She has spoken openly about the frustration she felt when she was denied a trophy after tying with Thomas in a race. When this NCAA official reduced everything that I had worked my entire life for, every girl at that meet had worked their entire life for, down to a photo op for a biological male, that's when I knew I had had enough. And I was done waiting for someone else to speak out on behalf of female athletes, Gaines said. Subscribe for more content like this. Gaines' fight to protect women's sports has not come without sacrifice. She has put her plans for dental school on hold to continue advocating for this cause. However, she believes that it's a small price to pay to ensure that female athletes have a fair chance to compete. Dental school will always be there. But the relevance and the importance behind this issue, seeing firsthand what's at stake if someone doesn't fight for this, I realize that that opportunity might not always be there, Gaines said. As the bill heads to the Senate, it remains to be seen whether it will pass or not. But one thing is clear. Gaines and other supporters of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act will not give up until they have achieved their goal of ensuring fairness in women's sports. The passage of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act has ignited a fierce debate over the participation of transgender athletes in women's sports. The bill, championed by former collegiate swimmer Lia Gaines and House Republicans, seeks to prohibit schools that receive federal funding from allowing a person whose sex is male from participating in women's sports. Gaines, who competed against transgender swimmer Lia Thomas in college, has been at the forefront of the movement to keep women's sports fair. She has argued that allowing biological males to compete in women's sports is inherently unfair and threatens to erode the gains made by female athletes over the years. The bill has been lauded by Republicans as a necessary step to protect the integrity of women's sports. But Democrats have decried the legislation as discriminatory and an attack on the rights of transgender student athletes. Despite the deep partisan divide, Gaines expressed gratitude to House Republicans for their support and their efforts to pass the bill. However, she also issued a stern warning to Democrats, predicting that they will pay for their stance in the 2024 elections. It just shows the war on women is underway, and the Democrats will pay for this in 2024, Gaines said in an interview with host Harris Faulkner on The Faulkner Focus. Gaines' warning comes at a time when the issue of transgender rights is becoming increasingly contentious in American politics. The issue has become a flashpoint for the culture wars, with conservatives arguing that transgender rights threaten traditional values and liberals arguing that transgender individuals have the right to live their lives without discrimination. The bill's passage in the House is a significant victory for Gaines and other advocates of women's sports. But the fight is far from over, as the bill now heads to the Senate, where it is expected to face significant opposition from Democrats. For Gaines, the fight is personal. Her experience competing against Lia Thomas and the subsequent denial of a trophy she felt she rightfully deserved has fueled her passion for the cause. She has even put her life plans on hold to focus on the fight against transgender athletes' ability to participate in women's sports. Dental school will always be there. But the relevance and the importance behind this issue, seeing firsthand what's at stake if someone doesn't fight for this, I realize that that opportunity might not always be there, Gaines said. The debate over transgender rights in women's sports is complex and emotionally charged. But with the passage of the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, the issue has reached a critical juncture. It remains to be seen what the future holds for the bill, and for the millions of female athletes across the country who are watching and waiting. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for authenticity.